This isn't a vintage Walkman. So a lot of folks would call one of these an MP3 player, which doesn't really give them a lot of respect. Yes, I know I've called it one in the video title, stop yelling. I mean, you could use these for MP3s, but it would be kind of like buying a purebred champion racehorse to help fertilize the garden with. You know, $1 million poo machine. The proper name for these dedicated music players is a DAP. Digital audio player. Forget one headphone jack, mate. This nugget's got 3 of them. And like the guy we're looking at today is easily the most extreme DAP made to date. And full transparency, yes, Fiio has sent me this thing, but I tell you, I tried to buy it first. I said, hey, can I pre-order it please? And then Fiio just sent it. They're just gonna send it. But it's serious time. None of you are ready for the chunk you're about to witness. Because this isn't a big chungus. You're about to witness the biggest chungus. This is the Fiio M17. I mean, check out the scratches on the back. I've been using this heaps, and this has been my dedicated music player of choice. And chunk-wise, this is chunk. Like, people would complain about this being in their pocket. It's kind of like a hip flask. I mean, compare it to the dingus. Oh, Bubby, that'd be a chunky nugget. Oh my. You ready for the money shot? Oh man, let's get. I know what you're thinking, but why though? So audio equipment is a lot like gaming and graphics cards. Digital content is just ones and zeros. Movies, music, games, whatever, you need to turn that raw signal into the content you want. So like in consoles and PCs, that's a GPU, a graphics processing unit. It's just an extra processor commanded to do a specific task. It's still just smashing out ones and zeros, mate. It's why people have found ways to use them for crypto mining. Please bring graphics card prices down though. And in gaming land, you can have desktop grade GPUs that can run hot and have big power supplies and fans that cool them, and then the mobile versions like gaming laptops with heat and power in mind. The M15 here really is like the equivalent of a stout gaming laptop, but instead of a GPU, it has a DAC, a digital to analog converter. It's an extra processor dedicated to turning those ones and zeros into an analog signal, which is, I'm being serious, I mean this, it's something you can send down a coat hanger wire. I mean it. It's so archaic, but it's great. And then it's combined with an amplifier to send the extra power for those big chunky headphones on your greasy face. So if the M15 is like a laptop grade RTX 3060, well then like the 17 is a full-fat desktop 3090. And even if you don't understand gaming, right, this has, and I mean it, desktop-grade internals in it. This humongous chassis is to help cool it, because as far as I can research, this is the most powerful DAP made to date. It has a 9200 milliamp hour battery, and you betcha she gets warm. But the feature that, for me, is the biggest selling point, I mean, along with the humongous power, which we'll get to, but it's why I had to have this, and please don't get emotional, everyone. It has 4 headphone jacks. 4! Every single one. It's got the standard outputs of big and small, and it's got both balanced outputs. And you know, because it's got all the Bluetooth junk in it as well, I mean, you can literally pair any pair of headphones to it. Bluetooth, vintage, it doesn't matter. And then the port situation continues. 2 USB-Cs. One so you can charge it, and one so you can plug in like external hard drives and stuff. Micro SD in. All my flats are loaded onto a little card stuffed in there. So it looks expensive. And yes, it is. This is 1,800 US Freedom Eagles. That's a lot of stinking money, but you know, it does exist in a world where you can easily pay $3,000 for a DAP. And so why is this a big deal? Well, a lot of us are excited for this thing because there are some headphones that are for desktop setups only, powered by amps plugged into the wall where they can have unlimited power. For instance, my Bear Dynamic T1s, the first audiophile headphones I ever bought brand new. And boy, do they like a big amp to drive them. I mean, just to show how stinky the T1s are, you know, there are other factors like sensitivity, but you know, generally, the more ohms they are, the harder they are to drive. Classic Dirty Buds, mate, they're about 40 ohms. Some K612s, mate, they're 120 ohms. Like, you want to be using an amp at this stage. The Herger 600s, these are 300 ohm. These are desktop headphones. The T1s, 600 ohms. They are hard work to drive. So I got so excited for these because if I wanted to use those big stinky headphones, usually I'd just sit at my workstation with its Apollo twin or run massive Grado extension cables in my lounge room from my Cambridge amp. That's really annoying, but not anymore. I've longed to just lay on the couch, lay in bed, lay on the floor and drive big stinking headphones. So the max volume on this guy is 120. With the HD600's desktop grade headphones, I'm happy with the volume sitting at 60. The T1's only 70. This thing is incredibly comfortable just pounding out volume. I've got some high-end headphones that are only 32 ohms, you know, like the Meze Elites and whatnot. And comparing this versus this, using the same headphones, like honestly, even using Spotify, this guy just sounds bigger. You know, it just feels like a bigger room. The lows are lower, there's more air in the sound, but then how fast the headphones are responding to the music. Like, it's mental how responsive headphones really are when you got some guy really taking control. Noah's Time Traveler. Man, the arpeggiated synths in the verse, it is so stinky. Through the HD600s, through this thing, I had my mouth agape at how fast and crisp it was all combining with the vocals coming through crystal clear right through the middle. It was amazing. But with high-end audio, the higher you go, the fussier it gets. I never knew how bad it could be until I got some high-end equipment. Electricity is weird, and if you have signal cables and power cables even near each other, it can create humming and buzzing. So it's not just the big stinking battery that makes this guy so chunk. Everything is completely isolated. All of these different boards, because you have insane power right next to outputs, and it's what you got to do to get silence. Like, for instance, people notice plugging, say, KZs or like high sensitivity IEMs into old iPods, you can often hear a little hum or a hiss at higher volumes, and that's high sensitivity headphones for you. Hearing all those little tiny flaws. I don't know, I kind of find it charming. It reminds me of cassettes. This guy, you can turn it all the way up to max, and it's silence. For how powerful this thing is, that is amazing. And you know, it does look amazing, like this prismy glass effect. Yes, those are RGB. It's a total tank, and it's got 1,000,001 features in it, right? It's compatible with heaps of audio standards and bit rates. But honestly, I've been waiting for this lad for one reason. I adore vintage headphones. Oh, so like earlier, mate, we're talking about headphones that are hard to drive, hey? That's cute. Oh, the T1s. 600 ohm. Ooh. We always say it's not always about the ohms. Let's meet the exception. If you can see through your eyes as they weep tears, the AKG K340s. These are 400 ohm, but the K340s care not for your ohms. These are top of the line AKGs from 1978, and they've actually got 2 speakers in each ear cup, a dynamic driver for the low-end bass, and electrostatics for the top-end bits. And back in the day, these were furiously expensive. Crazy coily cable with the big dingus idiot end. So the M17 goes up to 120, and the T1 sit at 70 when I'm listening to it. Well, these nuggets need 110. I could max this out with these on, and I would be fine. Oh. But look at this switch. BAT and DC? Wait a minute. That does charging, but there's an extra power port. Even comes with its own power brick. Because, yeah, this thing charges over USB-C. You don't need this to use it. But if you plug this in, flicker onto DC, smack that in. Whoa! You've just unlocked a hidden gain mode. Enhanced over-ear headphone mode. Yeah, never mind you got low, medium, high gain, and then over-ear headphone mode. Mate, this one goes again. You know, Fiio include a cooling stand for you to sit this thing on, because it does get really stinking warm. Although admittedly, I never use this. I want to feel the burn. In this special DC mode, man, those AKG K340s just wake up. It's the best I've ever heard them. And instead of 110 volume, it now sits at 90. It's still so stinky. But hey, why not? Let's have a quick listen against the HD600s. It's got the extra top end, that is just classic AKG. And the bass isn't as prominent. Remembering that the HD 600s aren't bassy headphones. Like bass heads say, they're not bassy enough. But they sound bassy compared to these. But after trying so many pairs of headphones over these last few years, I found that I really enjoy chasing an experience. And it's due to studying and working as a musician for like my entire life, and that like there are albums from every decade that are historical. You know, for instance, these are from 78 to 82. MJ's Thriller came out in 82. And you know, if you had these headphones back then, you were a baller. And you know, I get to experience that album the way they did back then. And like, I've owned these for well over a year, but they're just so fussy to use. I mean, I've been using this for about a month and a bit, and all I do is just grab it, hop in a chair, plug in and go. I love this thing. It runs Android 10, it's got an octa-core Snapdragon in it, and honestly, it runs amazing. I've used this to Google stuff, I've used YouTube on it, like the screen is great. I mean, it's not like the top-end flagships, but it's still excellent, and it's a big screen. It's also got a pure music mode, where this is Fio's very own like software, where now it's like an iPod. You're away from the internet, you're away from distractions. But that's not the best bit. USB DAC mode. You USB plug this into a computer and boom, this is now your sound card. Now you can use 1978 K340s for gaming or use high-end editing headphones with a MacBook Air. But the best one yet, the Bluetooth receiving mode. I've paired this thing with my Apple TV and then I went all the way and watched A Bug's Life through a pair of Jacqueline floats.
It sounds floaty.
So you can't use all of these at once, it's one or the other, but it's so powerful, you could run a splitter out of this and have two people listening through it. Then it's got the coax out and the USB in for like hard drives and things. This could be a centerpiece for like a small speaker system. It's ridiculously chonk, but is so versatile. If we're talking of big stinky power, mate, we gotta have a Dirty Buds blow off with the Diablo. We got some Cashies phones. Alright, the Diablo goes first, mate. What? Yep, one of them died. Oh, Diablo. Amazing work, Diablo. Well, here we go. Oh, you don't need an adapter, mate. You just whack them straight in. Well, interesting. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I honestly got the ISD Diablo because they reached out to me to say that this is the most powerful portable amplifier they've made. I mean, like, you know, you get a vibe on the chunk and the size. You see how big this guy is, and it has like no screen. It has no means of playing music on its own. This is just an amp and nothing more. I mean, the fact that this got the headphones to rattle, like, that would be unbelievably uncomfortable. I do like the Diablo, it's why it's been hanging around for so long. So, you don't need a device like this. You know, you don't need that cool USB DAC, Bluetooth receiving stuff. That is not unique to high-end apps like this. In fact, I'm going to hijack the M17's moment of glory and use it as an example of how amazing all modern music players are now. Look at some mid-range DAPs, Bluetooth receiving and USB DAC capabilities. That said, not all of them can do this. I mean, this guy does not work as a USB DAC, and it's only got one headphone jack, so neat. But tiny guys like the BTR5, this guy works as a receiver and a USB DAC. It's got balance output as well. This thing is everything I could want in a portable media player. I don't even care about the stonky chonkness. I like to take 45 minutes out of my day and sit and listen to music. This sitting on the couch doesn't bother me at all. And I have very spontaneous moments when I want to listen to music. It's from working as a musician, right? My life was music, so I don't tend to listen very casually. And when I'm inspired to listen, I just want to grab headphones, sit and go. And the fact that I can grab the craziest vintage headphones and just get straight into it, this is amazing. No more turning on workstations or turning on the TV and running extension cables, mate. This is such a specific device, I almost feel like it's made just for me. And I hope by showing you how hardcore a DAP can be, that you'll find that an entry model one does everything that you want it to, and you can rejoin the winning team of folks with functioning headphone jacks. Bring back the headphone jack. Come on! Every phone's looked the same for 4 years now. You're running out of features, guys. Here's a feature we'd all love, a headphone jack. Well, that's it. thanks so much for watching. Huge thanks to my patrons, especially these stinky names right here, because my $1 month I directed videos, although there is garbage time as well. Gosh, I hope to get a video done this week. The Nikki is running, spoilers. And I do my drum stream on Float Plane where I just yell and play hilarious cymbals that I find online. But for my precious $1 patrons, now that I've just got the perfect guy for running crazy old manky headphones through, mate, we're gonna have a look at the deluxe headphone, just one. You could barely read that. It says, for private listening pleasure. We're gonna have a smell of these. So thanks so much, mate. I'll see you all next time.
Frank's doing a stunning job of being hidden. We can't see her at all. And, you know, it actually gets better. I mean, like, you know, Frank, none of us can see you. You're invisible.